Hello, good afternoon. We are at the Pintô Art Museum, and I would like to take you through the galleries to see some of the significant works that are available in the Contemporary Art Museum of Pintô. No? At my back is probably the most significant work in this museum. No? It was made in 1990. It's called Carnaval, and it is a collaborative work among 15 artists who are now famous in a way by themselves. But at the time that they did it, the group of artists were called Saling Pusa. No? So this is significant because this was done 4 years after the revolution in 1986. No? And the artists, very sensitive as they are, no? They wanted to assess what has happened to the Filipino society after the revolution. No? Their judgment is that, the oligarchs came back, no? The powerful army came back, the traditional politicians came back, and the influence of the Catholic Church became even more. No? So that's the reason why they called this particular painting Carnaval. No? Carnaval meaning that in the Filipino society, going back to something that is joyful. No? And this Carnaval is depicted by the Carabao, no? The Carabao which is painted, which is usually it's done in paper mache in the province of Rizal, and you see this quite frequently sold in the carnivals and in the marketplace. No? So this piece is very, very important in a way because the question would be, what happened after 1986? Okay. A lot of people tell me that the pieces that are found in the Pintô Art Museum are quite dark. And I say they are honest because they depict the actual socio-economic condition of the Philippines and at the same time the most endearing traits of the Filipino. For example, this is the suite where I have collected a lot of the very early works of Elmer Borlongan. No? And of course it's dark in a way because he depicts the common people which are found in the streets. No? You have the lame people trying to eke out a living, as this particular lame person is doing. Another endearing trait of the Filipino is that strong family ties, no? As depicted in this particular piece. No? It's called Hating Kapatid. No? Hating Kapatid means that the brothers, no, share what they have. And in this particular instance, this is their sleeping bench. No? So it's a depiction of how the two brothers are sharing one bench, no, for them to rest. No? So I love this particular painting. I think it's one of the best that we have in the Philippine setting. No? And in fact, this was featured as the centerpiece, as the front page of the book of Elmer Borlongan recently. Another piece that is kind of very interesting is this series of beggars or blind, no, walang iwanan, no, meaning that they are sort of cooperating with each other, no, but at the same time, no, they look at the front, this front gentleman who is a crook, who is trying to go ahead and flinch the earnings of these particular beggars as they go on. No? So this is quite frequent in our Philippine society, and the greed, the small-time greediness, no, and at the same time, this particular character, the strong character of the Filipino, walang iwanan, no? We cannot leave each other, no? Is depicted very beautifully in this particular painting. And this is a very iconic Elmer Borlongan, no? It's called, the title of this particular piece is called The Circle Game. The Circle Game. It depicts this everyday Filipino, bald. You usually find it a lot in the slum areas of the Philippines, no? Circled by birds, which means that he's coming out with some kind of hope to the dire condition of his being in a very Philippine society, which is not beneficial to the poor people. No? Among all the artists, I think it's Elmer Borlongan who depicts the everyday Filipino, no? And the everyday Filipino in the streets. No? We're not talking about people who are. We are not here in this particular museum. I did not select any beautiful flowers or sceneries like that. I mean, because I think a museum should be able to depict the history, the socio-economic condition of a particular society. No? So there. No? But I would like to call your attention to this beautiful Elmer Borlongan piece. No? No? This piece is called Kumot. This piece is called Kumot. It depicts a child in the street who makes the underpass his home, and for his blanket he uses his shirt. But if you take a look very closely at the facial expression of this particular boy, in this very iconic Elmer Borlongan piece called Kumot, you will see that his eyes depict already a certain kind of defiance. And maybe he's starting to become angry with his particular condition. But here, you see how resilient he is. No? In using his home is in the street, and using his shirt as a way of protecting himself from the dire condition of the weather. So this is beautiful. This has traveled internationally and has been recognized by the UNICEF because of this, because of the symbolism and stark reality. It's a very honest. Elmer Borlongan has always depicted the Philippine society in a very, very honest way. By Mark Justiniani, it's a satire of the Last Supper. And if you take a look at the guy at the center, you would recognize him. For those people who are Catholics, they would recognize him as being in the center. That must be Jesus Christ. But they are in a gambling den. They are in a gambling den, not on the Last Supper. But the allusion is very subtle in a way, and you have to read through it. And a lot of people who come and see this one, either they get very angry, or they go ahead and appreciate it in a societal context. And this is the value of this particular painting. That's why I got it in the collection. Now this one is by Alfred Esquilio. In a very highly Catholic country like the Philippines, this piece is called Propetang Hindi Pinapansin. Okay? Now look at the beautiful artwork done by Esquilio. The figures are almost realistic. It's almost photographic in a way. But if you take a look at the way these people who are in some kind of a procession. No? The profeta, the prophet, which is located on one side of the painting, is almost disregarded by these people who are in the procession, no? Except for one figure there, no, who was looking at the prophet because he's, cradling a baby. And maybe, what is he saying? No? What is he saying? Perhaps he's saying, well, okay, I hope that you will give me, the prophet can give me the solution for the poverty that I'm in. So there, no? So it's a beautiful piece. But I love this particular piece precisely because of the way the painting was done in an almost photographic manner. This is a very famous painting by a contemporary artist belonging to the Saling Pusa group. His name is John Santos. No? This piece was featured during the time that he was awarded when he was awarded as one of the recipients of the 13 Artists of the Philippines. No? What's nice about this particular painting is it's very classical, no? And you think it is a painting, but you think it's sculptural. It is sculptural, but in fact it's flat, no? And that's the beauty of this particular painting. And I like it. It's big, no? A lot of empty spaces, but it's almost, what is it? Almost surreal to a certain degree, no? To a certain degree. So this is a very famous John Santos painting. This particular early piece, done by Marina Cruz, no, won for her the Ateneo Art Awards, and very skillfully done. It's really a painting that is derived from a picture of one of her parents. They are twins. Their parents are twins. No? But you know what's very nice about this particular painting is the expression of these children. But you can see that it has a certain almost macabre feel because they are ghostly. If you notice, there are no feet that is seen here. So they're almost floating. And it's almost enigmatic. No? This is a classic Marina Cruz painting. Yeah. Huh? What year? It's 2006. We are now in Gallery 3 of the Pintô Art Museum, and the subjects here are a little bit lighter. No? This particular piece, done by Jim Orencio, which is called Twilight. No? It's actually painted by him, no? Plein air, meaning that he painted it, no? Exactly while the twilight is coming on. And it's one located in the garden, and I knew from the very beginning that, he's a impressionist, Filipino impressionist painting of note. So look at how beautiful the colors are. What I particularly like is the touch of the color of the sunset at the back. Yeah, so it's beautiful. This piece is called Twilight, and it was done by him in 1995. No, very early. No. Now it's 2020, and he has matured to be one of the most important impressionistic painters of the Philippines. No. Being a doctor, I particularly like this piece, no? Because you see this very frequently in the provinces in the Philippines. It's called Himala, meaning a miracle. And it depicts a healer, a religious woman, no, who apparently is believed to have spiritual properties for healing. No? And you look at the whole community almost coming to her for healing. No? But if you take a look at the depiction, it's a very long house to a certain degree, and look at the way that the painter Juanito Torres depicted the religious connotation of the healing process. No? Himala. No? Remember the Himala of Nora Honor? Walang himala. No? Ang himala ay nasa puso. So this is really something that's very nice. No? Mm-hmm. The experience in Pintô, no, is about enjoying art and nature together. No? And being a physician, I always consider art and nature as part of the healing process. Not only healing in terms of the body, but also in the spirit. So if you take a look at the grounds, no, I have requested many of our sculptors to come out with depictions of classical characters in Greek and Roman classical history. Because I feel that is the start of the Renaissance. No? In this particular monument, for example, I asked Salvador Joel Alonday to do Narcissus, no? And in the other spaces, in the other areas, no, you saw quite a bit of characters from Greek mythology. It's very important that we know about the lessons that they depict, because that's the basis of character, and that's the basis of the frailties and the successes of the human condition. So I love this particular Narcissus looking at himself, no, looking at himself in the water, no, and because of the fact that he loves himself too much, no, he starts to go ahead and degenerate and become one of the surrounding. That's why this piece is is depicted as green. He becomes mossy in the end. No? Very, very, very Joel Alonday. No? Who, by the way, he was Joel Alonday was voted as one of the most promising Filipino sculptors by the Metro Bank 2 years back, because of the body of work that he has here in Pintô. Most of them are located in the grounds of Pintô. Okay. Well, this is the Pintô Art Museum in 1998 was voted as the number 23 most Instagrammed museum in the whole world. No? Even ahead of the Louis Vuitton museum in Paris, no? And we were all laughing. No? And I think the reason why it's most Instagrammed is, we have a lot of young people coming over, and they love this particular installation here. No? It says, "We are the kids that your parents warned you about." No? They love this particular statement. This is done by Constantino Ciccarelli, no, a Filipino-Italian painter, no, who graduated from the University of Santo Tomas. No. And from here, no, there was a request for us to be able to come out with a T-shirt, and you see a lot of people wearing this. "We are the kids that your parents warned you about." But as a counterpoint to that, no, I take a look at this particular installation of a Ducati. The owner of this Ducati featured in a very, very bad accident in Edsa, no? And he ruined his Ducati, no? And he said, "Okay, can I depict? Can I donate the Ducati to your museum and do something about it?" No? And what I did was, I asked him to pose, no? And Alab Pagarigan, who is a wire sculptor, came out with the particular way that he fell when his motorbike skidded while he was driving very fast. No? He skidded, and he had fractures all over the body. Fortunately, he survived. So I think it's a beautiful counterpoint to the "We are the kids that your parents warned you about," and the parents would tell them, "Look what happens to you if you are too cavalier." No, so to me, this is a very good balance between the two. It addresses some of the things that are happening in this particular society when a lot of people wants to ride on their motorbikes, no? And yet, no, the children actually is starting to become defiant as far as their discipline that is being given to them by their parents are concerned. This is the year. So I love this particular thing. It is the most Instagrammed piece in this particular museum. Yeah. Not too many people know about the significance of this particular painting, but it is a painting that has a lot of historical value now. No? This piece is called More Than a Century of Silence. More Than a Century of Silence, done by Wire Tuason. No? The two bells are really part of the three bells that were taken as booty by the Americans, no, when they massacred the Balangiga, a small village in Samar called Balangiga. No? And what happened was the Filipino rebels attacked an American station, field station, no? And dressed as women. The people were dressed as women. So some Americans were killed in that particular encounter. But they retaliated. The American army retaliated. And the order of the general was, okay, kill everyone above 10 years old. So this was this particular massacre. And the town was almost decimated. So what they did was, the Americans took the bells of Balangiga, no, which are old Spanish bells in their town, no? And they took these bells to a particular army post somewhere in the Midwest. And they were kept for more than 1 century in that particular place. But what happened was, the present president of the Philippines knew about this particular painting, was talking about it, and he said, yeah, the Balangiga bells, no? And during his first SONA, his State of the Nation address, no, he demanded the return of the Balangiga bells, which was one of the most applauded statements during his State of the Nation address. No? This was inspired by this particular painting. And henceforth, and after that, no, the bells were returned finally after more than a century of silence. That's why, to me, this painting is very important. No? So there, you're an American, so that's your history. This is one of the most popular pieces in this particular museum, particularly now that a lot of people are into physical athletics, right? So this is a triathlon, swim, bike, and run, done by Ferdi Montemayor. No? This was done about 10 years ago or so, no? When the particular sport became very, very popular. No? So a lot of people who are enthusiasts for physical fitness, no? They love this particular painting a lot. No? So. Particular painting that you see up here, no, is called Holy Cow. No? It depicts a cow that's already branded as Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton. So the particular artist who did this is Demet de la Cruz, no, and he's kind of an activist for animal rights, no, animal rights. So if you take a look at this, no. You have a common poet chair, no? And you look at the skull and the branding. Maybe you can come up close to that. The cow is already branded to become a bag of Louis Vuitton. You know? So hopefully that that this creates a certain kind of what do you call this? Remorse, I don't know what to call it, no? but it's a reminder that animals have rights also. No? So this is a piece by Demetrio de la Cruz. No? The newest wing of the Pintô Art Museum is called Gallery 7. We inaugurated it last December 31st as my gift to the Filipino nation on the occasion of my 80th birthday. No? So this is probably the biggest gallery, bigger than any of the galleries even in Ayala or even in the National Museum. No? It is done by most of the, almost all of the galleries here in Pintô Art Museum are done by an artist, Antonio Liano, who loves to call the buildings that he does as part of his installation art. No? So this is really an artist's depiction of how a gallery will look like. No? So this is a huge Gallery 7, and it houses the recent collection of the Pintô Art Museum. These are very current, and you know, it's nice because it's very wide, no? And things like that. It has a lot of content, no? But I would just like to point out a few. These two paintings, no? These two paintings is a depiction by Rodel Tapaya of the Ilocano epic called Lamang. No? It talks about the bravery of Lamang and his marriage to a beautiful lady in one of downtown, no, one of the provinces of Ilocos Norte. No? So it's very important that you take a look at the way that Rodel Tapaya depicted this particular legend, this particular story of the Ilocanos. I feel that it's very important that Filipinos should know about their mythology and their legends, no, rather than before, you know, reading on English mythology like Beowulf or something like that. So, no, so that's the reason. This room is dedicated to the love affair between Jose Rizal and Leonor Rivera. No? It was a love affair that was frustrated in a way because while Jose Rizal was in Europe, he was writing letters to Leonor Rivera, who lived in Camiling, Tarlac. Na? But the mother disapproved of this love affair between Jose Rizal and her daughter because at that time, no, Jose Rizal was depicted as a villain because he was trying to write Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. So the mom, no, did not approve of that kind of, you know, of marriage of her daughter to somebody who was steering the Philippine Revolution. So in this particular setup, no, what we did was they were exchanging letters. No? They were exchanging letters. And because of this frustration, that they have, no, the letters were actually, when Leonor Rivera discovered that Jose Rizal was writing to her and that the mother was hiding the letters from her, you know, what she did was, after she discovered these letters, she burned the letters, and in the ashes of these letters were put at the hem of her bridal gown because she was forced to marry an Englishman, Charles Keeping, who was an engineer, who was the one who did the railway station from Manila to La Union. No? So this is the story. So when people come here, this is an interactive piece. No? So I ask people to come for the undelivered project. And my instruction in this is, think of the one whom you have loved and lost. Take a pen and write an anonymous letter to him or her using the stationery provided. Empty your thoughts, fold and seal the letter, deposit the letter in one of the drawers, and let it remain undelivered, and then you must move on with your life. So if you take note of this particular thing, can you imagine all the letters of people who visited? These are letters that were left undelivered, no, by people who have visited in this particular area. I have not read some of the letters, but I'm sure it would be interesting to find out how the content of this particular letters. Yeah. This sculpture is a depiction of a woman who lived during the time of the height of civilization in Alexandria in Egypt. Her name is Hypatia. No? Hypatia was a mathematician, astronomer, physicist, and she was a head of the school of neoplastic philosophy in Alexandria in 370 AD. Okay? Now, I think what happened to her was the authorities at that particular time were not ready to come out with a woman with so much talent. No? And so what they did was they branded her as an heretic, satanic almost, because she was, she was so educated and so brainy to the point that, the authorities did not like that. So what happened was they killed her. What they did was to go ahead and they skinned her practically, And at that particular time, that particular thing happened, the school, the Platonic, Neoplatonic School of Alexandria, which is one of the seats of learning in that particular area in the Middle East, stopped, and the Renaissance worked. And I like this particular painting because, a lot of women still struggle to sort of gain their place in society. So I think there's still a lot of Hypatia being, killed in terms of spirit and in body, by authorities, by the way society is taking care of, is by way by which the society is trying to depict women. So I think this is to me a very important piece, and I try to depict this, and then I choreographed more or less the way is this. And you see, I placed a lot of old books to be the stand of this particular piece, because people sometimes will not be able to appreciate the power of knowledge. I feel that the only way by which society will be able to change would be science and art, which will be the redeeming factor of the humankind. So this is going to be the end of my interview. I would like to invite you, because this is just a small fragment of what we have to offer in the Pintô Art Museum. Pintô means opening. It's a door. So it's a metaphor for people to come over, so that you will be able to explore new knowledge. You'll be able to explore new forms of thinking, and this is the only way by which we'll be able to open ourselves to the rest of the world. To me, cultural exchange is something that's a very important instrument of peace, and the museums are very important for that particular purpose. Thank you very much, and in behalf of the Ballet Philippines, we would like to offer this afternoon's visit to the Pintô Art Museum. Thank you.